You know, sometimes the holidays bring out the best in people, but other times they shine a light on the cracks we try to ignore. I remember that Christmas like it was yesterday, the one where my daughter-in-law stepped in and turned everything upside down. She went behind my back and took control of the whole thing, making me feel like a guest in my own home. And it hurt deeper than I ever thought possible. It started with a simple phone call from my son. But looking back, that was the beginning of the end for our old traditions. I smiled through the pain, but inside, my heart was breaking. This is the story of how I found strength in the most unexpected places, and the painful conversation that helped me reclaim my peace. I've always loved Christmas. It was my time to shine, to bring the family together in my little house that's been home for over 40 years. My husband passed away 10 years ago, but the holidays kept his memory alive through the decorations we collected together. Every year, I'd bake cookies from his mother's recipe, hang the stockings he made by hand, and set the table just the way we always did. My son, Mark, grew up with those traditions, and when he married Sarah, I thought she'd join in, maybe add a few touches of her own. But things changed slowly, and I didn't see it coming at first. Mark and Sarah met in college, and I was so happy for them. She seemed sweet, always smiling and asking about my day. We'd chat over coffee, and I felt like I had gained a daughter. But as the years went by, I noticed little things. Sarah started suggesting changes, like new recipes or different decorations. I didn't mind at first. I wanted her to feel included. The grandkids came along, little Emily and baby Jack, and that made Christmas even more special. I'd spend weeks planning, wrapping gifts, and making sure everything was perfect. Mark would call and say, "Mom, you're the heart of it all." But last year, something shifted. Sarah called me one afternoon in early November. "Mom," she said. She always called me that, which warmed my heart. "I was thinking about Christmas this year." Her voice was cheerful, but there was an edge I couldn't place. She talked about how busy they were with the kids and work. I listened, nodding even though she couldn't see me. "I thought maybe we could host it at our place," she said. My stomach dropped a little. Our place? But my house was where we always gathered. I paused, feeling a twinge of sadness. "Oh, that's a nice idea, but I love having everyone here," I replied softly. She laughed it off, saying we could talk more later. That conversation lingered in my mind. I wondered if I was being silly, holding on too tight. But traditions are like anchors. They keep us steady. As Thanksgiving approached, I started my usual preparations. I pulled out the Christmas boxes from the attic, dusting off the ornaments. Each one had a story. The glass angel from our honeymoon, the handmade stars from Mark's school days. I felt a quiet joy in those moments, alone in the house. But then Mark called. "Mom, Sarah and I have been talking," he said. His tone was gentle, but I sensed hesitation. "We think it might be easier if we do Christmas at our house this year. The kids have so much space to play." I swallowed hard, my hand tightening on the phone. "But what about our traditions?" I asked, my voice steady but soft. He assured me we could bring some over. Inside, a small ache started. It felt like they were pulling away. But I told myself it was just 1 year. Days turned into weeks, and I tried to stay positive. I baked extra cookies to take along. Sarah texted me ideas for the menu, and I replied with enthusiasm. But then, something odd happened. I overheard Mark on the phone with his sister, my daughter, Lisa, saying Sarah was planning the whole thing. "She's got it all figured out," he said. Lisa told me later, worried. "Mom, are you okay with this?" she asked. I said yes, but doubt crept in. Why hadn't Sarah talked to me directly? It felt sneaky, like going behind my back. I pushed the thought away, not wanting to cause trouble. December, the week before Christmas, I called Sarah to ask about bringing my special ham glaze. She hesitated. "Actually, I've got a new recipe I want to try," she said. Her words stung a bit. That glaze was my husband's favorite. But I smiled through the phone and said, "That sounds lovely." Later, alone in my kitchen, I sat with a cup of tea, staring at the empty counters. Tears welled up, but I wiped them away. Why did this hurt so much? I decided to surprise them with some decorations. I packed a box of ornaments and drove over. When I arrived, the house was already decked out. Sarah opened the door, looking flustered. "Oh, hi! We weren't expecting you," she said. The tree was up, lights twinkling, but none of my things were there. I offered the box. She took it politely, but set it aside. "We've got everything covered," she added with a smile. That night, I lay in bed, feeling a deep sadness. It was like my role was slipping away. But I told myself to be grateful for family time. Christmas Eve came, and I arrived at their house early to help. The air smelled of pine and cinnamon. Kids ran around, excited. Sarah was in the kitchen, directing everything. "Can I help with the pies?" I asked. She glanced over. "No, I've got it. Why don't you sit with the kids?" I nodded, but it felt wrong. This was my thing, baking, setting the table. Now I was just watching. Mark noticed my quietness. "Mom, you okay?" he whispered. I smiled. "Of course, dear." But inside, the hurt was building. Small things added up. My suggestions ignored, my stories interrupted. It was like I was fading into the background. As evening fell, we gathered for dinner. The table looked beautiful, but different. No handmade napkins, no family photos. Sarah raised a glass. "To new traditions," she toasted. Everyone cheered, but I felt a pang. Later, unwrapping gifts, Emily asked, "Grandma, where's your special story time?" Sarah jumped in. "We're doing something new this year." That was it. The moment I felt like a guest. My own home traditions pushed aside. Tears pricked my eyes, but I held them back. Christmas morning, the kids tore into presents. Laughter filled the room. But I sat there, smiling on the outside, aching inside. Sarah had organized everything. Even the stockings were her style. Mine hung awkwardly, like an afterthought. When it was time for breakfast, she served her new dishes. "Try this," she said. She said proudly. I did, but it tasted bittersweet. Mark pulled me aside. Mom, you seem off. What's wrong? I hesitated, then whispered, It feels like I don't belong here. He looked surprised. But this is family. I nodded, but the words stuck in my throat. The day dragged on. Games, movies, more food. But every moment reminded me of what was missing. By afternoon, I excused myself to the guest room. I sat on the bed, staring at the wall. Why did this hurt so much? It was more than Christmas. It was about respect, about my place in the family. Sarah had taken control without asking, and it left me feeling small. Tears came then, quiet ones. I wiped them away, breathing deeply. I needed to talk, but how? That evening, as everyone napped, I walked in the snow outside. The cold air cleared my head. I thought about my husband, how he'd say, "Speak your heart, love." I decided then I had to have the conversation. Not in anger, but in truth. To reclaim my peace. When I went back in, Sarah was cleaning up. "Can we talk?" I asked softly. She nodded, looking curious. We sat in the living room, fire crackling. "Sarah, this Christmas has been lovely," I started. "But it hurts that you planned it all without me." Her eyes widened. "I thought I was helping," she said. I took a breath. "It feels like you went behind my back." She looked down. "I didn't mean to." We talked then, really talked, about feelings and fears. The conversation was painful, but necessary. I shared how traditions kept my husband close. She shared her worries about fitting in. Tears flowed from both of us. Mark joined, listening quietly. We hugged, promising better communication.